Welcome back. So today here in the shop, we're back on the 70 Challenger working on fabrication to replace rusty metal. The things that we're going to do today apply to any project, so be sure to stick around. You're not going to want to miss what we do today. I'm Mike. This is My Car's Shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Car's Shop.
Now, I've done a lot of this work over the years, and I know how to do a lot of things, and I usually have concepts. But I've got some mental puzzles that I've been working through on exactly how I want to do this. I know what I want to accomplish, but I'm not sure with the tools that I have how I'm going to accomplish it. So today we're going to work out how to join this to this while still leaving a little bit of a loop like that in here to allow room for this quarter panel lip, for this lip to fit inside the quarter panel, as we talked about on other episodes. So we could sit here and talk about it all day, or we could just get some metal and start doing some experimenting and seeing exactly how we're going to accomplish that. So let's do that. Okay, so I just took some time and cut a piece of metal that follows the contour of this lip and kind of fills in that spot there. This is more about proof of concept than anything, but I just want to share my thinking with you. It's not wanting to stay where I want it. All right, good enough. So obviously bigger than it needs to be, comes over down here. We can butt weld it in over here, following this edge, but I need to make this dip, and that's where my challenge is. It doesn't need to be a lot, but I've got to figure out on the bead roller how I can do that. I've got some ideas, but I'm concerned about once I start bending that, I've got it cut to this curve, but when I start bending it, it's going to change the contour and the way it lines up. So it's a little bit of a trial and error thing until I figure it out. I'll probably bend something to that curve to kind of get an idea what the pattern needs to be before I mess with this piece. But it's going to be bending a few pieces here to see what I get. And this is exactly what I figured was going to happen, is it's going to come out too long. So the easy solution for that, and it's an easy one, is just simply to trace it the way that I did, but make that flange wider and then cut it down to the desired width. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I will probably just use this piece as an experimental piece and do it again. Just cut it off and just make it again and see how it goes. But I think that width is about right. I like the way it looks. I got this nice taper in there, and maybe I'm okay as I think about it. Maybe I just need to come in here and trim this. Maybe I need to just put it at the edge here and then just go and trim this off here and here to get what I need. I think we'll try that first. That may be a good way to do it, because I don't know that the recess needs to be a whole lot more than what I've got there at that minimal point. So it's kind of working. I've got more complexity to make in there, but I kind of like the way that swoops back. The question will be, of course, as we go along, can I make it consistently enough over that kind of length? But I think proof of concept is here. So I'm going to trim this down a little bit more accurately and then try to get it to bend around, because we may want to do a cut and butt up in here. I'm not disappointed with the way this is looking so far. I think once it's all said and done, it could look, well, tolerable at least. Thought it would be a good idea to let you see kind of what I'm doing here as I'm trimming this down. And it's curved this way, and it needs to curve that way, and then I want to take and hammer and dolly this out a little bit. So I just want to make some marks on there to let me know, like, that's got to go kind of that way around, and this of course has got to be bent also. I just want to make myself some notes so when I get over there and start dollying, this also needs to bend that way. So they're just little notes for myself so I know what's got to happen. Okay, so I look where my arrows are, where I need to bend it. I'll start here. I've already done some of this, but I just kind of pry it up. Try to keep the hammer as flat as possible. Work it around to where I think it needs to be bent. So I'm just putting up pressure on it while I'm hammering, and I'm rounding these corners out. Again, trying to keep from using the edge of the hammer so I don't end up with a huge bunch of hammer marks in it. So then we'll bring it over here to the car, see how we're looking. Actually, not too bad. You know, the goal is to get back from this and then come up as flat as possible. And I think we're accomplishing that. Actually, I think that looks pretty good. I may have to do a little tab piece to join this to here. I'm not sure, but I'm not worried about that right now. We definitely need some more curvature in this corner and a little bit more up here, just to get it to blend in more. I am going to do a cut and butt on this. Well, I think I am. So not 100% sure, but I think I'd like a little bit more curvature along this top edge here. Although I'm thinking about it, it is pretty consistent. And if I was to do a cut and butt on it now, it would blend in pretty good. My only concern is that it's going to screw up my bottom edge down here. Although I don't think it would be too bad. It's actually pretty good. Got to ponder that a little bit. I'm obviously not going to be putting it in there, but I'm wanting to see what this angle looks like when this piece is tipped back a lot more. And it's fairly respectable. I'm not all that disappointed with that, but my guts tell me I want to bring this edge down a little bit more. Yeah, it's starting to look pretty good. I got a little bit of fine-tuning work to do on this piece here, but I'm liking the way that's rolling in there a lot. And this is going to come back in. Of course, when we do a cut and butt, it's going to come back in even further. But I really need to do a better job of getting this bottom edge to line up here. So get a hand file out for that, or maybe just a small rotary grinder and just tweak on that just for a minute. And you can see now with a little grinding, I've got that edge looking really good. So now I think we're ready to go ahead and start putting this in. I think the best case scenario here is going to be putting a couple little tack welds here first, then going up and doing my tacking up here, then do the cut and butt to get this in. I know my edge down here is not exactly right, but I still think that's going to be the best way to do it. And then before we go any further, we need to get the quarter panel on here and make sure that everything is about where it needs to be, because if this needs to come down, now's the time to do it. If it's up too high this way for some reason, we need to determine that now. Okay, I think we're good. Now I can go through and do my cut, and we'll start working this down. I think I might want to give it a couple more tacks down here just to be sure that that doesn't let go, but I think we're in good shape. So we'll go ahead and do the cuts and maybe get this part way down to here and then go from there. Okay, so you can see we're just starting to get little tack welds. I got a couple spots where I was having a hard time seeing when I cut, and so the cut was a little bit wide, but overall it's turning out pretty good. So I think I want to go ahead and finish getting this all welded up, and then we'll, I'm not going to do this down here yet. That way if I need to adjust this or all, I have opportunity. It's pretty good intact. I will go ahead and blow this piece out of here once I have this in place. But it's getting there. I'm pretty happy with that overall. So looking good. We'll get her finished up and I'll show you what we get. Alright, so we've got it all dotted to dot. Literally, that's what you're doing, is you're spot, moving all around, and then you're going back and starting to connect the dots and fill in the holes. So the next thing then, we'll grind this. I think I'm going to add a couple more spots here. I said I was going to do that and I didn't. I just want to make darn sure when I really start working on this that it's not going to break off. So we're good though. I think it's coming along nicely. Alright, so you can see now we've got this piece cut in. It's just tack welded along the lip here. Yeah, I think we're okay there. So I'm going to leave these tacks, and I'm going to do the same thing on the next piece here. I think we're going to end up doing this in probably 4 pieces. I think that's going to be the way to do it. So this one shouldn't be as bad because it doesn't have as big a curve, so putting that little bit of this piece should go relatively quickly. Okay, so I got another piece cut, and I've got it kind of marked out where I want it. I decided that before I go ahead and cut it off, I'm going to go ahead and do my bend, and then, well, you know, I think not. I think I better do this cut anyway, and do it the way I did the other one. If I start second guessing myself, I'm just going to end up causing problems. So hopefully I did this with the right-handers. Okay, good. Red is right hand, green is left hand. Sometimes I just like cutting this stuff by hand, just to get a good feel of the metal, and I don't know. It's good for the hands too. Builds a lot of strength. Okay, I'm off just a little bit, but not bad. Let's dolly that out and get her flat again, and then we'll get it in there and see what we got. Try to make a guess here how far we want to go. I don't know. It's actually probably pretty good compared to the other one. Not too bad. Could use a little more in the middle. Where the crank position is right here. I was having a hard time with it. Okay, I think that's better. Yeah, I think we're okay like that. Let's get you over here. Okay, if we take this piece and kind of fit it down in here and go where my line was good, about there, then it's just on that one end there we need to take it off. Hopefully it'll fit in there okay. I think it will once it's dollied down, so that'll be our first order of business. Actually looks better than I expected, so that's good. Always can't emphasize enough, make the piece of metal bigger than you need and then cut it down. You know, once it's too small, you have to keep cutting it again and again and again because it'll still be too short. So here's what we've got. We've got to go through and do our cutoff up here and get that closer to that edge, and then of course tip that edge over the way we did on the other one to start getting that bent in. But I'm pretty happy with the way that's looking down here. It's not perfect, but I think we're going to be good. And I'm going to really work hard to get this end to match the other end so I don't have to cut in there. I think that's going to be important, just to do the best fit that I can rather than trying to cut my new stuff. Okay, a bunch of off-camera trimming, and I actually haven't done anything with this. This is pretty good. Now, this edge lines up fairly respectably. I'm going to leave that like that. So now we need to do and just kind of bring those edges down. So I've got to make my marks on there with my marker where things need to be. So I need to bring this that way, obviously that way. So basically all of those edges there just need to kind of roll that way a little bit, kind of get it to match the contour of this right there. And there we go, all ready to do some cutting and button. I may trim this down just so these edges match here, but other than that I think we're good. Okay, so we got it tacked in, about 5 places on the bottom, 5 places on the top, a couple on the edge over there. A little hammer and dolly work to get those curves to match there, but no big deal. So now we'll do our cut and butt, and we should be not far away from this being completed. so we got the next piece cut and butt right in. A little bit of better grinding to do in here, but I'll do all of that once I form all of this down in here. So just a little more grinding to do on that with the finish grinder, and then we'll get it shot with some dark color and we'll see where we're at. As you can see, it's stitched together. Maybe we should call this car Stitches. A little bit of work to do where the seam is. It needs to be just a slight bit of hammer and dolly, but remember where that bottom lip is, it's only tack welded in a few spots. We have to go back and solid weld that yet. So there'll be some grinder work and hammer and dolly work. Next steps on this now, here's where we got to go next. So we really need to get up here and get this trimmed down the way it needs to be and all cleaned up to here where we just meet the new metal, and get all that out of there now so that we can get the front of the quarter panel to push in deeper. That will allow us to get that quarter panel, get this front curvature exactly where it needs to be and how it should be, suck that quarter panel in that little bit more so that as we go forward, we're not going to be getting this part of it off, because at this point forward now, the further forward we come, the more we could be out too far and cause the quarter panel to misalign. So it's starting to really stiffen the car up now. I'm really happy with that. It's going to be awesome once we get our quarter panel extension finished and welded together. There's a little bit of work I've got to do back here on this to fit it into the quarter panel. I haven't done that. I left that until last because I wanted to make sure that everything was going to fit properly on the car. There's a little bit of a patch right in here that I need to do, but I can't express to you just how fun this is and how much satisfaction there is in doing something like this. Now remember that this is not visible, so I'm not worrying about like finish welding, the finish grinding the welds perfectly and all of that. There's a couple little dents in here I might go back and dolly out. This is about structural integrity. Once the fender is over this and you get some good body shuts inside the wheel, well, you don't see any of this. So not spending huge amounts of time trying to make it look perfect. Again, it's stitches, so I don't mind if people see some stitches, because that's a good thing. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate those of you who support the channel. It's not something I really talk about, but every once in a while somebody will volunteer to do something for the shop and or send some cash or whatever. And I don't normally talk about it, but if that's something that interests you, shoot me an email over at mycarspage@gmail.com. That email address is in the description of every video, and we can discuss what it is you'd like to do. I've only fresh on my mind because we've had a couple more people step up and volunteer to help out with expenses and things here in the shop, and I can't tell you how appreciative that is, especially this time of year. I ran out of propane today. It is almost so cold in here I can see my breath. I'm out of argon for my argon CO2 for my MIG welder. I'm out of wire for my MIG welder. It does cost a lot. I'm not asking for that. I'm just saying it does, and I appreciate those of you who do step up and help out with stuff. That's as far as I can go this episode because of this other work that we need to do. Plus, I'm just out of time, and well, I'm cold. It's cold in here. I think it's down to about 45 degrees right now. So that's going to do it. I hope you appreciate this. Ask your questions. I know that some of you have been asking questions during the videos, and I really appreciate that. I'll try to answer everything I can. I know there was a couple demonstrations some people wanted me to do regarding getting dents out of sheet metal and stuff like that, so I plan on doing that when I don't have time to be working on the bigger projects. I'll shoot over and we'll do a little demo with some hammers and dollies and on the whiteboard. I don't know, we'll do something. We're on the face thing. Your instant grandmother likes us too, /mycarshop. And don't forget one more thing. Rock.